Your competence is destroying your capacity. If you are the one everyone depends on, this video is for you. You know that feeling when it's a Sunday night and everyone is resting, but you are already running tomorrow's meeting in your head. That is not leadership. That is your nervous system treating leadership as a threat. You are sharp. You are prepared. You hold the complexity that would break most people. And somewhere along the way, you stopped noticing the cost. It shows up in the mental fatigue you have normalized, in the decision drag you call strategic thinking. It's the emotional contraction you called professionalism, and it is the complete loss of spontaneity. Here is what no one is telling you. The strategy that built your authority may now be quietly eroding it. In the next 5 minutes, I will show you exactly where this breaks down. I am Vibhuti, and I help leaders expand their cognitive capacity and authority under pressure. On this channel, you will find two types of videos: destabilizers that challenge outdated leadership models, and installers that give you the systems to operate at a higher level. In this video, we are going to deconstruct something that is invisible, something that you have been rewarded for, something that feels like competence but is actually over functioning disguised as leadership. And if you're hearing yourself in this already, stay. Let me show you how this built. High performers are rewarded for specific behavior: being prepared, being reliable, anticipating risk. Every time you demonstrate those behaviors, you get reinforcement, promotions, recognition, trust, credibility. The reward loop becomes identity attachment. You stop doing these things because they are useful. Instead, you start doing them because they are you. And this identity attachment becomes non negotiable performance pressure. You're not exhausted from leadership, you are exhausted from over functioning inside leadership. And there is a difference because the version of you that got promoted is now the version you think you must maintain to stay credible, even when it's destroying your capacity. So let's name the cost, not emotionally, structurally. There are 4 domains where hyper responsibility is quietly eroding you. The first domain is cognitive. You are experiencing decision fatigue. Every decision you make depletes your cognitive bandwidth. But you have normalized making 200 micro decisions in a day. Decisions that shouldn't even be on your plate. And because you are sharp, you can handle them. But can and should are not the same thing. You are starting to resent people who underfunction. This may not be loud, but it is definitely subtly there. The teammate who does not anticipate, the direct report who waits for you to make the decision, the peer who shows up unprepared. And that resentment, it's not about them, it's about the gap between how much load you are carrying and how much they are not. But here is the trap: you created this gap by over functioning, by rescuing, and by not letting things drop. The third domain is strategic. Your long range thinking is shrinking. You are so deep in execution, so embedded in holding that complexity, that you have lost the altitude required for strategic vision. You are managing brilliantly, but you are not architecting anymore. And no one notices because you are still performing. Domain 4 is nervous system. This is the one that concerns me the most. This is where invisible becomes measurable. Here is what is happening in your brain when you are over functioning. Your amygdala, the part of your brain that detects threat, is treating leadership like a survival situation. Every unread email, every underperforming team member, every upcoming deadline, your brain is coding these as micro threats, not intellectual challenges, but threats. And when your amygdala is in a threat mode, it hijacks your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for strategy, creativity, and long term thinking. You are not just tired, you are neurologically under siege. Here is the part no one tells you. Stress spikes are supposed to be temporary. Your nervous system is designed to activate, peak, and return back to baseline. But when you are carrying too much, your cortisol baseline shifts upward and it never returns back to normal. You never return to rest. Your body stops recognizing rest as safe. It starts interpreting calm as neglect. Remember that feeling on a Sunday afternoon when you finally have nothing to do? But instead of feeling relaxed, you start feeling anxious. That's not a personality flaw. That's your nervous system trained by years of overfunctioning, treating rest as a system failure. There is a mechanism in your body called the vagus nerve. Think of it as a brake pedal for your stress response. When you overfunction, you override that brake pedal and you repeatedly do it again and again. And eventually, your nervous system stops offering you that option, the option to slow down. You shift into sympathetic dominance. Fight or flight becomes your baseline operating state. And here is what most high performers do not realize. Emotional and psychological activation, the heart rate increase, the tight chest, the mental spiral, that activation peaks and resolves in 60 to 90 seconds. 60 to 90 seconds. But most overfunctioning leaders re-trigger before the wave clears. You are actually hitting refresh on your stress response before it has logged out. It's like refreshing a browser that's still loading. You never let the system complete the cycle. And here is the part that's the hardest to see. High performers often have excellent spike recovery. You can handle a crisis. You can pull an all-nighter. You can show up under pressure. But you have terrible baseline management. Your body thinks leadership is like a marathon run at sprint pace. And for a while, you can do it because your reserves are very deep. But then one day, maybe it's year 3, maybe it's year 7, you hit a wall. It feels like it came out of nowhere, but it did not come out of nowhere. Your nervous system has been borrowing against reserves you didn't actually have. This is the cognitive load, the allostatic load, the cumulative psychological cost of chronic stress without recovery. And the brutal part, most high performers do not even realize this until their body forces this conversation. Some see them in form of panic attacks that feel like heart failure. Others in the form of insomnia that no sleep hygiene fixes. A flatness that looks like depression but is actually nervous system collapse. This is the cost of carrying what is not yours. This is what happens when competence becomes your identity. And this identity becomes non negotiable. Your brain is designed to lead, but your nervous system is trying to survive. So, now let's talk about why this pattern feels so hard to change. Why are we doing this? Because underneath the competence, underneath the identity, there is a belief structure. Let me ask you a question. What if the strategy that got you promoted is the same strategy that is now limiting you? If I don't hold it, it drops. If I relax, I become less sharp. If I delegate, I lose control. Let's flip them. Let's start with if I don't hold it, it drops. Let's flip it to some things should drop. That's not failure. That's priority clarity. Second, if I relax, I become less sharp. Let's flip this to you don't get sharper under chronic load. You get blunted. Recovery is performance capacity. Third, if I delegate, I lose control. Let's flip this to control is not the same as authority. Control can't distribute. Authority can. And this is the destabilization we have been talking about in this video. The behaviors that you have been rewarded for so far are the same that are limiting you now. Not because they are wrong, but because they have scaled past their usefulness. And if you're thinking, but I have to carry this, that thought, that's the identity attachment talking. So the question is, if hyper responsibility is eroding capacity, what replaces it? The answer? Authority that holds without overfunctioning. Capacity that sustains under visibility. Leadership that does not require you to carry everything. That's what we are going to install next. Not just a mindset shift, a structural system. Because you don't just need more motivation, you need the architecture, the system. That's what I share in the next video. If you are still here, you already know something. You are not broken. You are overtrained in a strategy that worked until it didn't. And the version of you that will start emerging now, that version calibrates rather than carrying everything. That is not weakness, that is precision. Many leaders have told me this insight changed something inside them. If it did for you too, subscribe to this channel. I go deeper into these patterns every week. If you know someone who needs to hear this, share this video with them. See you in the next one.